Hey guys, we are Sean and Christy. This is Long Long Honeymoon, and today we are talking everybody's favorite topic, the internets. Many of you have asked questions about how we receive our internet service when we're traveling with the big silver burrito back there. We've used different services over the years. Today we're going to focus on cellular boosters and what they can do for your internet service. But first, for you newcomers to RV travel, we're going to tell you about campground Wi-Fi. Most private parks do offer free Wi-Fi, right?
The question is, will it be Wi-Fi that can do anything for you?
There's only one problem with relying on free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
It's terribly unreliable. We've had the gamut of experiences over the years. I remember when we first started doing Long Long Honeymoon, sometimes I would edit a video and bring my laptop out to the picnic table, hold it up in the air over my head for 20 minutes to upload the video using free Wi-Fi.
To the blog.
To the blog.
Now, if you decide you want to use campground Wi-Fi, first of all, when you're calling the campground to make the reservation, you need to make sure that they have it. We always ask that up front.
When you're checking in, make sure you ask where the router is that is actually amplifying the Wi-Fi signal throughout the park, because you want to be as close to that as possible, because any obstacle between you and that signal is going to cause you problems. If it's between you and a tree or you and a big motorhome, instantly your signal is going to drop and it's going to make it harder for you to use that free Wi-Fi.
The farther you are from that transmission source, the weaker your Wi-Fi signal is going to be. You know, there have been situations where we have parked our RV right next to the office of the campground because that's where the transmitter was and that's where we could get the fastest, most reliable signal. Now, if you're counting on the Wi-Fi signal to do your work, like if you work from your RV, you want to get the site that has the strongest Wi-Fi signal.
And when you're calling and asking about Wi-Fi, ask how strong it is. Is it something that you could download a video with? Or is it going to be something where you're just going to struggle to open an email? Even if you're someone who's not working from the road, but you're going to depend on Wi-Fi for your entertainment, say your Netflix or Amazon Prime,
or your
video,
Long Long Honeymoon,
or your Long Long Honeymoon YouTube videos. However you're going to watch your content, if you're relying on Wi-Fi to do it, a lot of these places, it's not going to cut it. You're not going to be able to download a 20-minute YouTube video and watch it. It's going to be painful. So just make sure you ask more detailed questions rather than just, hey, do you have Wi-Fi?
But there are some campgrounds that have invested heavily in really good internet equipment.
Yes.
For example, shout out to Hollywood RV Park in Los Angeles.
They have awesome Wi-Fi.
Santa Fe Skies in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yes.
And Red Trail Campground in Medora, North Dakota.
They have the fastest Wi-Fi we've ever had in our 13 years of doing this.
I don't know what was going on in that campground. It's located right outside Theodore Roosevelt National Park, but the Wi-Fi was just blazing fast.
Sailors for sailoring, still at 50.
If you are serious about full-time travel in your RV or working from your RV, you're going to want to carry your own Wi-Fi source because you're probably going to want to connect multiple devices to the internet at one time. And typically, internet provided by the campground is only going to be an option in these privately owned parks.
Right.
If you're in the state parks or national parks, and obviously if you're boondocking, if you're out there on Bureau of Land Management land, then it's up to you to bring your own source of internet.
Yeah.
And that brings us to what we do and what most people do, and that's use cellular networks. I will briefly mention satellite internet. We looked into getting satellite internet and it's slow, it's expensive, and unless you really plan on working from really remote areas of the Chihuahuan Desert, then I don't know why you would go that route these days.
Behind me is the Chihuahuan Desert. It's teeming with vicious wild chihuahuas. Did you pee on the carpet? Did you piddle on the carpet? You just think you're going to wag that tail and all is forgiven? Well, you're probably right.
Obviously, you need to consider your data usage and what you'll be doing with the internet. Are you simply checking email? These days, most people are doing more than that. For us, for example, we host those live chats, we upload videos, and that's really data intensive usage of the internet. So we are fortunate that we have a good plan. It's an old plan that we've had for a long time.
Yeah, we were grandfathered in because we've had this plan for so long. So we do have an unlimited data plan with our cell phones.
Whatever kind of cell phone you have, it probably has a hotspot option. So you can use your phone as a hotspot.
Right.
And if you haven't thought about using this before, we found that they work really well. When you're using these 4G LTE connections, you'll get very high bandwidth connection to the internet. And we've been able to, for example, host live chats from all over the country using that 4G LTE connection. It's also possible to purchase separate cellular routers, and these create their own portable Wi-Fi network that is running all the time. So it's constantly finding the nearest cell tower, it's constantly spitting out that Wi-Fi signal for all of your devices.
And you can also get those, I believe, from each of the national carriers like AT&T, Verizon. Those sort of companies have those as well, that you would, I think, purchase a separate plan for.
But for us, we've actually found that using our phones as a hotspot works very well. The issue with that, like with all things cellular, will be what kind of connection you're getting. And if you're going to camp in urban environments, maybe you're going to typically get a good strong 4G LTE connection. But if you want to do any scenic camping, which usually does not include our fine downtown areas, sadly. So this is what you go camping in a state park for. The deer are in a happy place here, let me tell you. In the state parks and the national parks, a lot of times those cell signals can be very weak.
And almost non-existent.
Yeah, I can think of times we've been traveling in sort of remote parts of the country, like southern Texas, out in the desert, and sometimes you'll go through stretches of desert where you're getting
No service at
or
all. No coverage at all.
So in our trailer, we've recently installed a cellular booster called the SureCall Fusion to Go 3.0 RV. Try saying that 3 times fast. Ronnie Dennis, Airstream Nuts and Bolts, handled our installation.
Yes, and it's one that he's very familiar with. I think he's installed many. He's had one himself.
It's an interesting gadget. Basically, an antenna is mounted outside of your RV that grabs the cellular signal, feeds it by wire into your RV, and then boosts it. So it's a way of taking a weak cellular signal and turning it into a stronger, more usable cellular signal.
This device can certainly assist in boosting a cellular signal. That's the omnidirectional antenna that goes on the roof. You'll be able to take a signal that would barely check email and could quite possibly be able to surf the internet with it.
And actually, this is something that would really appeal especially to Airstream owners, because if you have an Airstream and you've camped in it, you'll notice that you can be outside and have a good cell service connection, and then you step inside and you close the door and it's like, hey, where'd my cell service go? It just disappeared. And it's because of this beautiful aluminum skin. It deflects the Wi-Fi or the cell tower signals in a lot of places.
You physics gurus out there will know what a Faraday cage might be. And this is basically a giant Faraday cage behind us. We've had issues, for example, where we cannot receive a cellular signal in the rear of the trailer, because you may notice we don't have as many windows in the rear of the trailer. We've got a lot more metal back there. In the front of the trailer, we have more windows and we will get a better cell signal.
So sometimes if we set our phone in the window, we'll get a signal. But if we move that phone to the back of our Airstream near the bed or the nightstand or what have you, where it's not near a window, we will lose our cell service connection.
The SureCall cell booster sort of takes it to the next level, putting an antenna up on top so it's above any metal, grabbing the signal, feeding it inside the trailer, and then boosting it and sending it out.
Yeah, and if you're somewhere where there's no cell service, it could bump you up to 1 bar where you're not going to be working on the internet, but you could make a phone call.
You know, we almost ran out of fuel traveling through the Texas desert. And one of the scary factors we were dealing with was the cell coverage.
Yeah, there was no cell service in the section of I-10 that we were traversing through the desert.
Speaking of cellular coverage, Campendium.
If you are a subscribing member to the Campendium app or website, you will get access to a cell coverage map. So you can look at that map, look at your provider, and then see where you will get coverage with your particular provider. Also, if you read reviews of different campgrounds, most people in their review will tell you what their cell service was like in that location and who their provider is.
Hello class. Today we're going to take a look at something called WeBoost. WeBoost.
There is another popular cellular booster in the market. It's called the WeBoost. And I believe that the WeBoost and the SureCall do right about the same thing. SureCall is a little less expensive, costs around $400. The WeBoost costs around $600 or so. So the SureCall seemed like a pretty attractive deal. All right, guys, so here you see the SureCall Fusion to Go 3.0 RV setup. This is the actual booster unit, and up top we've got the antenna. And what Ronnie Dennis did was to basically run the wire through the refrigerator vent, came down through that space.
See how it goes together. You've got an inside antenna and an outside antenna. So the inside antenna will go on here, like so.
On the back of our unit, we put some Velcro because we have the notorious mouse fur walls that Airstream puts in their classic models. It's kind of like a thin carpet on the walls. Elvis would be proud. Maybe they should do a shag carpet version of mouse fur someday. What do you think about that? Llama fur, how about that? So this will stick to the mouse fur, but we're just gonna tuck it away back behind this curtain. But here you can see a little antenna and the booster, and what we do is we just power it with DC power. You've got some different power options, but for us it's the most convenient just to plug it into DC, and there's a little switch on the DC plug. Pretty simple unit. There's not much to do with it once it's installed except flip that switch. All right, so here we have an impromptu test of the SureCall system. Supposedly we're getting 2 bars of supposedly 5G. I will point out this system is 5G compatible in that it will grab a 4G LTE signal and deliver it to a 5G phone. So I'm going to turn it on and we'll see what happens. So now we're boosting the signal, and we just went from 2 bars to 4 bars. To 5 bars. Some people say you need to be close to the antenna to get the best signal from this booster. Our strategy will be to use our phone as a hotspot and just set the phone next to the antenna. So it'll take that boosted signal, deliver it to our phone, then our phone will provide the internet Wi-Fi to the trailer. So I just turned on the booster. We got 3 bars. Just went to 4 bars and then to a full 5 bars.
I'm in the back of our trailer. We don't have as many windows back here, so we usually have not so great cell phone coverage back here. So right now I have 1 bar of 5G, no booster on. So we're gonna turn the booster on and see what happened. Well, it boosted me 1 bar. So now I have 2 bars. Drop the ottoman behind you.
About now.
Now I have 3 bars. Now I have 4 bars. Now I have 5 bars. So I'm about, 3 feet from the antenna right now.
So I'm gonna turn this off and let's see what happens. So now you're standing in the front of the trailer, we've turned off the booster, and you went from 5 bars to
2 bars. Right now I have 2 bars.
Now, something you should know about these cellular boosters, you don't want to leave them turned on at all times, because if you are getting a very strong cellular signal, they could actually take a strong signal and make it weaker. If you're in an area with really good coverage, and I'll let Ronnie explain that to you.
There's one disadvantage to systems like this that people need to be made aware of is most cellular devices use MIMO, which is multiple in, multiple output antennas. Your cell phone has, say, 2 antennas in it, so it can get 2 signals in and 2 signals out, back and forth. These operate not with MIMO. They only operate on 1 signal. So if you are in an area that has decent cell phone coverage and this is on, you can actually take your MIMO signal and reduce it to a single signal. These work great for situations where you have less than desirable service, but in situations to where the service is adequate, you probably don't want to have it turned on because it will decrease your internet speed because you lose 1 antenna. A lot of people think, well, you just turn this thing on and it boosts signal and it runs all the time, and you just it's all unicorns and rainbows when this thing's on. And it will take a signal that is basically unusable and turn it into one that's not. But if you're in an area, a metropolitan area that has good cell coverage, it can actually reduce your speed. And the way it would do it is because this would produce a stronger signal than the cell tower would. Your cell phone would pick up this instead of the cell tower. Your cell phone has 2 antennas in it. This only has 1. So it could reduce your download and upload speeds. But if you're in a situation where you're out in the middle of nowhere and you don't know where a cell phone tower is, this has got a chance of being able to grab a signal and give you what you need.
And you know, it's possible to install these devices not only in your RV, but also in your tow vehicle.
Yeah.
And a lot of people choose to do just that, because if you're going to leave your RV in one location and then go out exploring in your tow vehicle, you may appreciate having that cellular booster in your truck.
They also make these for your home. So if you're somebody that, you know, lives somewhere where you don't have a great cell signal at your house, you want to boost it, they make them for those as well.
So that's it, guys. A look at the SureCall Fusion 2 Go 3.0 RV. Wow, I think we got it right.
Long name.
What do you use for internet? The answer to this question is going to differ depending on what you're doing with your RV. If you're going out on the weekends with your family, then maybe you don't need to do these heavy-duty permanent installs. But if you are working from your RV, or you plan on going on extensive long-term trips with your RV, then it makes sense probably to invest in some of this equipment.
Yeah.
I'm also curious to hear if you've used these cellular boosters before, how well they've worked for you. So post a comment, let us know what you think. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe. We will be reporting back with regards to how well this SureCall system is working out for us.
If you haven't, please subscribe like Sean said. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can just find us by typing in Long Long Honeymoon. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll get a lot more sort of behind the scenes video and photos when we hit the road, because we post a lot in our stories there.
A lot of dog pictures.
And dog pictures, yes, we will be posting those.
And pictures of me drinking beer for some reason.
Yes, and food pictures, gas station pictures, you know, exciting stuff here, people, groundbreaking material. If you liked this video, if it was helpful to you, please share it with your friends and family. Give it a thumbs up. Leave us a lovely comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, what do we say?
We say
Lo-lo-ho.
And we will list the cellular boosters in our Amazon store, and there will be a category sitting right on top. If you click into that store, you'll find it in there somewhere. It'll have the SureCall system, other systems from SureCall, like the ones you might put in your truck or your home, and we'll put some in from WeBoost as well. And by the way, no one paid us to make this video.
No.
We have featured products on our channel for 13 years, arguably 14, but we'll just say 13.
Our Amazon storefront is there as a way for you to support our channel. It doesn't have to be RV related. You could buy toilet paper, you could buy cat litter, it doesn't matter. If you start your shopping experience on our page, which is amazon.com/shop/longlonghoneymoon, you can buy anything that Amazon sells and we will get a small commission. If it helped you, please subscribe. Please.
Please, 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 please. On our trailer, we've recently installed one of these cellular boosters. It's called the SureCall Fusion to Go. So that's it, guys. A look at the SureCall Fusion
3.0
3.0
RV.
RV. No, 3.0. You know, to magically transmogrify internet-y stuff and turn it into
Beams.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I'm confused, but I got them. How does it get those beams and turn it into long, long honeymoon videos? We may never know.
The science, man. Blows my mind.